Hey family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah? If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? Won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided to get into the topic around us taking a moment to think about our rejection of self-programming. What do you mean, Phie? Let's get into it. So, especially in the Western society, there's a programming across the board that has been instilled into the people that has them unconsciously operating in the programming and energy of rejection of self. And that rejection of self-programming manifests itself in an array of ways. And on top of that, there's the programming of us, being groomed into, into always aligning with things on the outside, into believing that, we reject ourselves, and then we're programmed to believe that we need to have and be whatever it is that we engage with on the outside, that we've been programmed to perceive as better than what we have or what we think, we need. Is this something you're able to recognize within yourself? Is it something that you're able to recognize within others? If you take the time to sit with yourself a little bit and, think about how you engage the world. Are you able to recognize where you, in different aspects of your life, unconsciously, or become conscious about where you unconsciously operate out of, the rejection of self-programming? And where maybe the rejection of self-programming is a foundation to how you engage and compare yourself to the outside world and the people you have around you. Are you able to recognize the people around you who operate out of that as well? Can you see it? Can you pinpoint it? Or are the people that you're surrounded with operating on the very same vibration and minds and conscious level that you are, that you're comfortable, right? No one is too far below, and no one is above that conscious level or that specific vibration. Because if someone was too far below the other person, there would be an imbalance in your dynamics, right? The other person would recognize it in you, or you would recognize or perceive the other person as more than. So where in your dynamics and in your own operation can you pick out where you're operating out of the rejection of self-programming? And again, it's one of those things that, unless you've really taken the time to do some healing and gone through some introspection and sift through and released a whole bunch of things that kind of, are tethered to that kind of programming, and also recognize the different tentacles that kind of programming develops over time and over our lifetimes, the way it seeps into all kinds of areas of our lives and our relationships, and also how we feel about ourselves and our insecurities. the rejection of self-programming is a really big deal. And what's so sad about it is that it's so normalized. It's detectable and undetectable at the same time. And people who, show up in a space who are maybe who are maybe not as densely programmed by the rejection of self-programming, naturally society has also again been programmed to project negativity towards those kinds of people, to become jealous, to become envious, because if you're in a space of self-rejection, when you come across somebody who doesn't reject themselves on a conscious level, it may manifest as negativity. Why? Because your soul recognizes something in the next person that your soul would like to exist in. I hope I'm making sense. You may find yourself being jealous, you may find yourself being envious, you may find yourself lashing out and, doing all kinds of things that are born out of the rejection of self-programming towards other people who may come across to you as not existing in that vibration and that energy. They may have it, but maybe the aspects that you exist in when it comes to the rejection of self-programming, they might not have. And you recognize that in them. That's the kind of stuff that leads to gossiping. That's the kind of stuff that makes you feel like someone else has what you don't have. That's the kind of stuff that ignites things like envy, people becoming vindictive, slander, triggers insecurities. But no one really takes the time to recognize what it is that they're operating out of. What kind of programming do I have within myself that is making me engage and interpret the world on the outside of myself in this way? And if you're the person on the other end of that, if you're somebody who, comfortably operates within your own energy, and you're confident, and you don't walk around with a very intense or dense energy of rejection of self programming, do you recognize when you move into spaces that where people require you to hate yourself, where people require you to be less than who you are in order to feel like you're a part? You can move into a space with people and suddenly feel insecure. You can move into a space with people and suddenly feel really judged. And automatically, you think it's you. You think it's your own. You start behaving in a way that says I'm insecure. You start behaving in a way that makes you, in a way that says I'm judging myself. Are you able to recognize these different dynamics that go on within you? Are you able to maintain and appreciate in other settings when you're not existing in a specific dynamic or in a specific programming that other people around you might be existing in? Are you able to pick up other people around you who do exist in that and recognize whether, or how that programming is actually affecting your relationship with them and your dynamic? Sly comments, trying to make you or other people in this space feel less than. Those are all, signs of people who are heavily operating out of the rejection of self-programming. And those people are the very ones who will project onto you that you need to hate yourself, that you need to take on and accept their need for you to exist in the same energy that they are, so that they can feel comfortable in their space. Because most of the time, people who are still very much in the dense programming and in the rejection of self-programming, they're not yet able to lift themselves up and out of it. They require you to come down and meet them on their level, which is why Spirit likes to push so much on the fact that if you've ascended, if you've already pushed yourself out of a, lifted yourself out of a certain programming or way of being, don't expect to engage people who are still in where you used to be to meet you on your level. You'll have to drop yourself. You'll have to drop yourself levels down to meet them. You have to, we again, it's one of those things where you just have to try and take a higher perspective. Love yourself, recognize your growth, recognize your progress, recognize where, you're different energetically, consciously, and vibrationally. The system, again, has it all confoculated within us, having us judge one another on the physical aspects of things and completely rejecting and neglecting and not getting familiar with the other aspects of ourselves that actually matter. And it's not to judge, but it's to be able to maintain yourself also in the higher and positive vibration that maybe other people haven't been able to tap into yet, haven't reached the time in their lives or the divine time in their lives to have to confront and look at those issues within themselves. And other people simply just don't want to. Some people do recognize it, but they don't really want to actually put the effort and the action in to personal growth and transformation. And those are things that no one on the outside can encourage or get the next person to do. So once you take the time to elevate and transform, or once you get to the point where you can recognize that, the outside world might be projecting onto you to embody a certain energy, to be a certain way, to reject yourself being comfortable in your own space and in your own energy and your own existence, makes you feel wrong. You start feeling wrong for being in your own energy and in your own confidence. Recognize that it is not you. It could be people on the outside of you who feel inferior. It could be people on the outside of you who are operating out of their own rejection of self, programming and energy that require you to lower yourself to balance out their discomfort with your comfort and your energy, with your comfort and your confidence. But you have to love yourself enough to also reject those energetic requests, those energetic projections, or even if people do it verbally or show it in body language. Be okay being comfortable in yourself and your own confidence and your energy. Be okay being comfortable in where you're different and not a part of the mass programming, not a part of the mass lower vibrational energy that people have become comfortable to exist in. And if there are people who, require you to relinquish those aspects of yourself to bring balance to themselves, love yourself enough to stand in your truth and recognize that those are not people that you should be having in your energy or engaged with. And there's nothing you can do or say to help elevate them or bring them up. Those are the kinds of things that, people get confronted with certain situations in their lives that mirror the way they are back to them. An aware person would engage an energy who is confident and comfortable in themselves and recognize, what kind of emotions and feelings or what it triggers within them. They would be aware of those things and ask themselves, why does me engaging this person, why is me looking at this person, why is me coming into contact with an energy like this making me feel jealous? Why is it making me feel envious? Why am I feeling less than? Why am I suddenly feeling like, I'm in this person's energy and I'm not enough? Why do I feel like I need to break them down? Why do I feel like I need to get catty? Why do I feel like I need to gossip? Why am I looking for something within a person who is confident and comfortable within themselves? Why am I feeling to try and find something wrong with them and find somebody else who is on the same vibration I am to validate the way I feel about what is wrong with them? It's all born out of the rejection of self-programming. So recognize as well where the people you exist around. Growing up, especially in my 20s, I was just somebody who was always a little different. I prioritized differently, I would spend my money, when I was working my 9 to 5s, I was never a big drinker. I would spend my money, I would prioritize my money more on my living, on my home, on furniture, on things that, just because I'm an introvert and I loved being home, I wasn't always, I was social, but I wasn't always the biggest socialite. I wasn't the drinker. I wasn't the person who, enjoyed partying. I was always the one who was, the sometimes the last to arrive, but the first to leave. That's just naturally how I am. I'm an introverted person, but I can be social when it's required out of me. Okay. As I got older, I started not being so swayed by the peer pressure and the need to appease the people on the outside of me, and I was okay. I became okay being the person who would hear about the good times from the night before, because I was really always content just being in my own energy and at home, and where other people would prioritize their finances to traveling, drinking, partying, and whatever else it is people, prioritize their money around, again, due to programming and whatever it was. I prioritize my finances a little bit differently. So I always had a little bit of a non-conforming energy. Okay, and I would have to learn to be okay with people, teasing and getting irritated with the fact that I never finished a drink, or that I just did things a little differently. I also saw the world a little differently, and when you're among other people, sometimes when you operate a little differently, you become the person who's the most easiest to hate on, or to be spoken about, or to be put, as the placeholder, because sometimes you being different makes people feel like you're judging them, makes people feel, like you're just not part of our energy. And that's also okay. It was another one of those aspects in my life that I needed to, sort of learn to accept and be happy and be okay in my own energy, with the fact that I just, I perceived things differently, I did things a little differently, And I was just naturally a bit of a different energy signature to what the general people are out there. And I did sometimes, not sometimes. I mean, I over time, I got familiar with the uh, with the projections of the outside sometimes, you know, requiring me to feel like I needed to be less of myself, or that you know, or projections that made me feel like I was too much or I was too far on the other side, and or outside of what people genuinely or generally believed that was the bad, how to say, that was the general energy to what they all existed and felt comfortable among each other with, right? So with that being said, where are you operating out of your rejection programming, rejection of self-programming? And where can you also recognize that that generally the people you exist around unconsciously operate out of that rejection of self-programming as well, and unconsciously also have a filter within themselves when that they pass through before they engage the world, that automatically compares themselves to the outside world, with the foundation of the rejection programming within them. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. Where is the rejection of self-programming also causing you to put yourself after others, right? Where are you somebody who's also, someone who's under the programming that you need to distribute your finances among all the people around you, be it family or whoever it might be that you feel obligated towards, but reject yourself to the point that you feel bad for not sharing what you have before you've actually taken care of yourself, before you've actually secured yourself, prioritized yourself. That is another aspect to the rejection programming that affects a lot of us. If you're under the programming that you need to distribute your money to family members because, they have things that are programmed into people like black tax, or I gotta look after my mother, I gotta look after my father, I gotta look after my brother, my cousin, my uncle, my this, my that, I have to, I'm making it now, or I'm getting paid now, so I gotta give it out. But are you making sure that before you give it out, you've taken care of self? Are you making sure that before you give it out, you've put aside for your future a portion of it, that that you're good, that you're secure, that you've handled, putting towards your own well-being and your stability before you decide to appease what you believe is expected of you on the outside, before you allow your rejection of self-programming to put you into a place of giving in to people, wanting a piece of your pie, but not really considering whether you've made sure that you're good first. Most people who have their hands out don't consider that. They just automatically assume that if you have the resources, or they see you have resources, or that you're appearing abundant in some way, that you've taken care of self and that you have an overflow to give. But because of the rejection of self-programming and the acceptance programming, as well as the guilt programming and authority programming and whatever other programmings you have smacked up on top of your rejection of self-programming, all of this is operating at the same time within you, right? You then put yourself in the back seat and put others ahead of you. You're programmed to believe that if you don't, you're selfish. If you don't consider the outside, you're selfish. You're programmed to believe, saying, you know what, let me just take care of myself first. Let me make sure that I'm good. Let me make sure all my bills are paid. Let me make sure that I've actually put away for myself and my savings and my investments. Let me make sure I've done all of that first. Then I might be in a position to be able to share if I have an overflow with where everybody else feels that, I'm obligated to give. Where again, you're never obligated. It's a programming issue. Okay? It's a programming issue. But again, respect and love yourself enough to stand in your truth, to put up your boundary, and to take care of yourself first. It's okay. And anybody who makes you feel otherwise, makes you feel like you should reject yourself, makes you feel like you're not worthy of them, isn't worthy of you. They don't love you the way you want to believe they love you. If you need to reject yourself first to make them, put them into a comfortable position when you might still be on your side of the fence in a state of imbalance or in a place of lack. Okay? I hope I haven't rambled too much and that it's all made sense. Family, don't reject yourself. Okay? Have love for you. Okay. I'm gonna pull a card from our flower therapy deck by Doreen Virtue. Okay, and let's see what wait, Spirit, please. Let's see what Spirit has to offer to support our conversation, or give someone who's watching the video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay, now please have one card, Spirit. Be positive. Card says be positive. Okay. Living in the rejection of self programming can, really just have us always unconsciously existing in a negative place. Not feeling good enough. Not feeling like we are worthy to the outside, and then find ourselves in a place of feeling like we always need to prove ourselves, when you don't have to prove yourself. No, you don't have to prove yourself to the outside at all. You need to just find your own energy and find your own standing. Okay? Because everyone on the outside of you is operating out of that shit as well. And on top of that, others are, entrenched in the programming of competitiveness and power and all of that. And that's not anything anybody should have to feel so stressed over to put themselves up against, especially if they're in a space and in a programming and state of existence that is rejecting self. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. So try and, be positive, be honest with yourself in the areas of your life where you are existing out of that programming, and have the courage to, call it out, replace it with the truth, replace it with perspectives and your own opinions and your own ideas and knowings that make you not reject yourself, okay? That have you accepting yourself and appreciating yourself and loving yourself. above what has been programmed to you as a bar or a standard to live by on the outside world, in the outside world. Okay, the card says your thoughts can shape your experience, so be sure to focus on the positive. Okay, so let me read what the book has to say, and then we'll wrap up the video. Be positive. There we go. Your thinking has the power to direct your reality. Okay, too many negative thoughts can affect your health and well-being. Remember that your energy is always going out to heaven, the angels, and nature. It's like having an overeager genie beside you who's listening to your thoughts, not even waiting for you to say aloud, "I wish for," before it sets to work. That's what you're putting out into the universe. If you put out to the universe that you reject yourself, you're going to have experiences that mirror back to you people and things of the energy of rejection, right? If you want the genie to be working on your behalf, choose to concentrate on what you do want rather than what you don't want. Take this card as a clear message that you need to keep your intentions positive, especially towards self and within yourself. Okay. Additional meanings to this card. Consciously add positive phrases to your speech. Others are being affected by your words and thoughts. You can change the outcome of this situation with affirmations. So recognize that also when you go into people's space and you feel suddenly different, you feel insecure, you feel like you're being judged, people are projecting. Okay, don't accept those projections. Be grounded in who you are and where you stand. And, decide before you get into people's spaces, decide before you get onto that phone call, decide before you respond and engage in messaging where you stand. So people's energy, people's thoughts, people's opinions, people's projections are not yours. Okay, you don't accept them, and you are able to just put, peacefully send it back to who it belongs with, and tell the universe, this is not my energy, I don't accept it. These are not my thoughts, these are not my opinions of myself, these are not my beliefs, I don't accept it. Don't accept and take on what the outside world expects you to embody and live in. Be okay being in your own energy. Okay, anyway, family, I'm gonna wrap that up there. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye.